Okay, so let's start building this project. So the first things first is we're going to have to go create a welcome message, just like usual. So it's nothing out of the ordinary. We already know how to do this, and we are going to do print, and we're going to go print our welcome message, welcome. We're going to print welcome to number guesser. Then we're going to print our dividing line like usual because, well, I just like to make our stuff look fancy. So we're going to do this, and there we go. We have our first thing all set up. So we have printed our welcome message. Now let's move on. So this is a guessing game, which means that we have to have a number to guess. So let's create a variable that will hold our number that we're going to guess. And since this is going to be a constant variable, meaning that our value is never going to change, we're going to keep this all in capitalized letters. So I'm going to call it secret number. And it can hold any value that you want it to have. But for my example, it's going to have the value 73. And you can see right here that Visual Studio Code says it's constant, and meaning that it's a value that should never change. Now in Python, it just disregards this and you can actually change it whenever you want. But for coding conveniences and when you're coding out there with other people, if you have a number capitalized like this, it means it should be regarded as a constant. But in Python, there's no such thing as a constant variable, but you should treat this as if it's a constant variable. So now we have a secret number right here equals 73. So this value will never change in our program at all. So now we have our secret number right here. And the whole logic behind our game is to keep on going over and over again, or looping, until we guess the correct number. So for that, we are going to need a loop. But now which loop are we going to have to use is the real question. The for loop or the while loop. Because we have two loops, but which one are we going to have to use? And if you said the while loop, that is correct. The reason for that is because, well, we're going to have to keep on looping, but we do not know when we're going to have to stop. All we know is that we're going to have to keep on looping until a certain condition is met. And that is the while loop. So while loop, secret number, and now we have to go get the user input. So let's create a quick variable right here, call it user input, or we could actually call it something else like guest input. So we don't have to keep on using user input like I always do in every video. So we're going to use guest input, and so far all it's going to have is an empty string. So while guest input is not equal to secret number right here, then we're going to keep on looping. So what's going on is if our secret number and our guest input don't match, then we're going to keep on looping. And of course these don't match, so we're going to keep on looping. And now we're going to prompt the user to enter in a number. So we're going to do guest input. So we're using our variable up here again, equals input. And now we're going to just prompt the user to enter a number. So guess a number. So now we're getting the input from the user. But the problem is they can enter literally anything. And we do not want that at all. We only want numbers. So what we're going to do is if guess number is digit. So what this function does is it returns true if the string is a digit. So anyhow they enter a number, then it's going to return true. Otherwise, if they enter anything else, it's going to be false. So this is going to help us check if the user only entered numbers or if they entered letters or characters or whatever else. So right now we're checking if it is a digit, but we actually want to check if it's not a digit. So if it's not a digit, then we are going to continue. So whatever is after this code, we're going to skip it and we're going to go back up and say guess a number. If we test this out right now and run this, what we get is welcome to number guesser, and I wish there was some space up here, so we're going to have to fix that. And I want some space right here as well after this line, so we're going to fix that as well. But it actually does work and says guess a number, and we are going to enter something besides a number. So something like this, whatever you want. And now it says guess a number because we did not enter in a number, and it only accepts numbers. So first thing is first is I am going to put a new line right here so we can actually have some space, and we are going to put a new line here as well because I want some space. So now we have our welcome message all done, we have our secret number, we have our user input, and we're getting input from the terminal and checking to see if it's a number. So now we can actually safely assume that our guest input is a number. So we can turn this into a number by doing int guest input. So now this is a number. Now it's time to go check if the number the user guessed is either too high too low or if it's the right number. And how we're going to do that is by using if, elif, and else statements. So if you want to actually go attempt this on your own, pause the video and try that. But for everybody else, let's continue with this. So first off, we're going to check if the number they guessed was too low, because we just don't like low numbers, guys. We like it to be higher than lower. So if guessed input is lower than secret number, then we are going to print, and so we're going to go tell them or print to the terminal, your number was too low. And then we could put a sad emoji. And now we're going to go check if it's too high, because we don't like high numbers either. If it's too high, we've got a problem. Elif, guess number is higher than secret number. Then we're going to print, sorry man, your number is way too high. And then else, so if it's not too low and if it's not too high, that means we got the right number. So else, print great job. And then we can actually just add this in the same print statement. The secret number was, and then we could just put our secret number in here. And actually, let me show you a different way. You don't only have to use format. You can actually, if you really want to, have F right here, which means that we are turning this entire string into an F string. And what this means is that we can actually just enter our variable right in here, like so. So now instead of having to do dot format, you can just put F right here, and now you can enter your variable or whatever value right between these curly brackets. So this will work the same as using dot format, but it's shorter and a bit more cleaner. So now if we save and run this, so right here, I like how my welcome message looks. So now it asks us to guess a number. And if we put anything besides a number, it's going to ask us again to guess a number. And now since we entered 4 right here, it says your number was too low, and here's our little sad emoji, guess a number. And I wish to actually put a bit more space between this two, so we're going to have to work on that a little bit later. And now let's do something higher than 73, so maybe 100. Now it says, sorry man, your number is way too high. Guess a number. So it keeps on wanting us to keep on guessing until we get the right number. And since we already know our secret number, which is right here of course, we can just put in 73. Boom. It says, great job. The secret number was 73. Now of course we want to make this look good because right now it does not look presentable. So we're going to put a new line right here. We're going to put a new line right here. And we can put a new line right here. Or what we could do to simplify our life so much, instead of putting new lines on all of these print statements, we could simply just put a new line right here with guess a number, and that should solve our issue right there. Now our program is almost complete, but let's just say, for example, we entered something else besides a number. It would be helpful to give our user a little message saying only numbers are allowed. So instead of just continuing and skipping all of this code right here, because that's what the continue statement does. So instead of skipping all this code right here, we can actually print first. So print, sorry, and then we can put the guessed input is not allowed. So we're going to put our curly braces in, again, is not allowed. And of course, just to make this look fancy, we're going to put parentheses around this so it'll look a bit more fancy. And instead of using the dot format again, I'm going to use the F string. Boom, like so. And then we could put our sad little emoji. So now I think our program is complete. And one thing I forgot is since we have this thing right here, then we don't need this new line character right here. So now if we run this, we have our welcome message, we have our space right here, and it asks us to guess a number. So I'm going to do the letter S because that's just my favorite letter. And it says, sorry, S is not allowed. So now it tells the user with this helpful little message, sorry, S is not allowed. And then it tells us to guess a number. So now we can go guess another number. And let's just say that we did maybe 12 SE. It says, sorry, 12 SE is not allowed. And now it prompts us again to guess a number. And now we can do 23. And it says your number was too low. We can do 74. It says, sorry man, your number is way too high. But if we do 73, Then it only says right here, great job, the secret number was 73. And that is the end of our project. Something simple, which didn't take too long, but still is very fun to play around. And now imagine if we randomize the number every time, that would just make our program even better. But to keep things simple, we have went over the basics on using while loops, if statements, else statements. We have used our comparison expressions right here. We have used our print statements and also kind of went over a bit of this is digit or is numeric. We have also learned about constants and we have used a bit of f strings. So that is it for this section, and I'll see you in my next section where we talk about dealing and handling errors.